Yo, what's going on, all my righteous warrior dudes and dudettes? Yeah, man, hope all is well. Hope you're having a blessed day and everything. It's a bit windy where I'm at in London. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you can hear that wind. But yeah, man, I just wanted to say, look, there's a lot that I'm doing with my comic series, and you know, I'm trying to get back on doing regular updates for you guys. I want to do some more breakdown videos of stuff going on, because right now, like I told you in the previous video, we are moving on to the Day of Reckoning up pretty soon, but we're just tying up those loose ends with the military years. You know, I want people like yourselves who check in with me to be able to really grasp the story, and it just runs real smooth, you know what I'm saying, from start to finish. So I don't want any gaps, which is what I'm feeling. I'm just filling in all those small gaps, you know. But when we get onto Day of Reckoning up, man, everything's gonna open up, man. I'm telling you, the main arc of the story, you know what I'm saying. And yeah, there's just so much to come with it, man. You know, you got the freedom fighters, which you're going to see much more of. You know, you're going to see the Anarchians, which are a fantastic villain that all designed by myself, of course. You know, you've got, you know, Babylon, who are like the main protagonists, and they're going to be showing much more of how they have affected the world as a whole, as a group, as a kind of, you know, large kind of, you know, I guess in a way criminal military organization. You're going to see all of that. You're going to see where power derives from in the world, especially for the righteous warriors. You're going to find out, you know, how, you know, power and the source of the power interacts with the world, how it's acquired, and how it's, you know, I mean, implemented and manipulated by each of the warriors, you know. So you're going to see all of that. You've got the churches, who are also part of, obviously, the Believers faction. They're going to have quite a integral part of the story, especially from the political sense, because it's both them, the freedom fighters, and the Buffalo Soldiers, who are all combining their strengths to fight against the non-believers, you know. And of course Babylon themselves, who are fundamentally non-believers as well, you know. But not everyone in Babylon's bad either, though. But you know what I mean, that's for more to come in the future. But there's a lot to tell, you know. And even the military years, man, because I've gone and kind of restructured it, like I told you in the previous video, there's a lot more to kind of gain from it now. Of course, it's mainly Ozai, Makeda, and I guess the military leaders before they turn to Babylon. Those are the ones who you mainly see first. But for character development, it is fantastic for Ozai. You know, and that whole arc now of military years is for you to understand who Ozai is, because even though there's going to be a lot of characters introduced to the story, especially when the Day of Reckoning comes in, Ozai himself is still always going to be the main character. We are following Ozai's path, his story, you know. So understanding who Ozai is very integral for understanding the choices that he makes in more of the, I guess, changes, the important changes that happen in the story. The choices that he makes, you know, may seem confusing if you have only just looked at bits and pieces. So, you know, I always say that you can actually start reading from the Day of Reckoning. However, you're not going to understand Ozai, and you're not going to understand what takes place, you know what I mean, in terms of like how the story develops. You're not going to understand how did that all kind of start, if you know what I mean. Like what led to those changes, if you know what I'm saying. So you have to definitely read Military Years to understand that, because it transitions quite nicely into the Day of Reckoning arc, even though it is fundamentally about Oze's kind of backstory, but it has now been restructured and smoothened out to make very important transitions into the Day of Reckoning arc. So it is definitely a very important, integral part of the story, and you're going to know so much leading into Day of Reckoning if you fully read Military Years once it's done. So I'm really looking forward to sharing it with you guys. I am nearly there. I know I've been saying it for a while, but since I had to do the restructuring, that has added definitely a good more portion of pages that needs to be done so it's smooth. And that's why I'm just taking so long to release it, because in my head I've been ready to release it for about 6 months, you know, but 6 months later, now that I'm restructuring and smoothing in out the story to make it much more appealing for you guys who are the readers, now that I'm doing that, yeah, man, you know, it's obviously taking a bit longer than expected, but we are getting there. And, you know, Righteous Warriors is a fantastic story, man. It's so unique. Like, I really pushed my, I guess you could say, my brain cells to surpass the limitations of things that I already know. So don't get me wrong, there are definitely inspirations from all characters in fiction in there. You know, like I said the other day, Oze's outfit is definitely from Blade. You know, I took the inspiration from Blade for that, because I wanted him to represent a famous black character in the series, of course, but, you know, he's not like Blade in a sense. Well, actually, there are some similarities in the terms of, I guess, him working as like a mercenary, because, you know, I know, like, obviously Blade's like a vampire hunter, so he's a bit like a vigilante, I suppose. I haven't read like all of Blade though, don't get me wrong, like I'm not a big Marvel nerd, unfortunately, but I always liked the look of Blade, you know, as a kind of looking like a mercenary vigilante kind of fighter, which I'm assuming he is. But, you know, so there's loads of inspirations there, you know what I mean, to take from. Power, I guess you could say, you know, Ether, you know, you could look at that as like a Dragon Ball thing, because I do have Dragon Ball inspirations in there, but I've been very, very careful with how the power is invoked, how it's utilized and everything. It's definitely not the same as Dragon Ball. So, you know, but you'll see similarities visually. You know, I've got aura in my thing, but there's a lot that makes it quite different. So you certainly won't need to worry about it thinking, oh, this is too much like Dragon Ball. But, you know, aura, energy, there's so many animes that have used that, so it's not like I'm the only one. But yeah, it definitely will be good once it's done.